It's
Wait,
oh,
not yet.
oh, not yet. Okay.
Okay, well, there we go. Good morning, everyone. We got started talking before we started, and so thank you all for joining us. And our guest this morning is Luna Jenna, and I'll read her bio in a little bit. And I wanted also to welcome Jessica and Ramy,
Hello.
and glad you're both here too. And so I will read your bio, Jenna, and then everyone will know more about you, and then you can tell us some more.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
Jenna Bodensteiner, aka okay, aka Luna Jenna, she's founder of Rhythm Rootz, a ceremonial dance practice, and she knows that she is here to restore the balance and assist in reestablishing indigenous ceremonial traditions in all communities. Luna Jenna knows that her purpose is to bridge the gap between ancestral wisdom and present day health and wellness trends, using music and dance as a conduit to inspire a reunification with Earth itself and other. Luna Jenna believes if we want to heal the Earth and humanity, we must go back to the beginning. And that's beautiful. And all her social media links are below. She offers spiritual fitness classes. She's a practitioner at a location listed here on the links. And she's a dance tribe facilitator in Kansas City sometimes. And there's also a fundraiser that she's sponsoring or that she's hosting at the KC Farm School on Gibbs Road in the near future. So, welcome, Jenna, and thank you so much for being here. And please, I'm really curious to hear your story and how you got into
Yeah,
the work you do.
yeah. So, I guess I'm gonna start real quick with my name, Luna Jenna, and how that kind of came to be. Um, it's kind of something that's very new and just kind of evolved. So, Luna obviously is the moon in Spanish, and then Yena with the double Lena is full. So full moon is Luna Yena, and in Spanish it can be pronounced Jenna or
Oh,
Yena,
beautiful.
and so it's very tied tied very closely to my English name, Jenna. And so when I'm traveling abroad in Spanish speaking countries, I'm like, I introduce myself as Jenna, and they're like Gina or Jenny, and like because Jenna is not really a name that is very common at all down in those areas, and so I'm like Luna Yena, like Jenna. They're like, oh, Jenna, and so it's kind of evolved, and it's an intersection between kind of like the worlds that I feel like are inside of me, just like the the world I grew up in, my surroundings and my family, and then the world that's like inside of me. And so it's a kind of a mesh of both of those things. And so that's for anybody listening. That's it. That's what's going on. I don't think I've ever explained that to anyone.
Oh,
It's
that's
just kind of
beautiful. Yeah.
just kind of
I love how
evolved,
it
and I'm like,
ties so closely.
yeah, yes, me too. And it's kind of like what I use when talking about these things and being in these spaces. When I facilitate Rhythm Rootz, it's kind of like my name I use when I'm engaging with my ancestors. So yes, so there's that. But so Rhythm Rootz and just ceremonial dance in general, it evolved from fitness really. I used to teach a fitness practice called Booty Yoga, Buti, and it's a group fitness class that uses intuitive movements. You create a playlist, and a lot of the movements were really like grounding with like your hip opening exercises like you would find in yoga, like goddess pose, and but you're pulsing throughout those different movements, and the music is there's not so many lyrics in it, and so you can really kind of get out of your head and into your body. And through that, I was just like, it felt like home moving in that way. And so as I grew, evolved and learned more about, first of all, my indigenous hit, and I did an ancestry DNA thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm like in like very indigenous. And so I just started discovering more about that, aligning that with the way I like to move. And then I started kind of um, moving away from the booty yoga and wanted to create something that was more authentic to really what I wanted to to move, how I wanted to move. I wasn't finding it like anywhere. So I just created my own space, and that's how Rhythm Rootz came to be. And yeah, and then it just got to be where it wasn't so much focused on fitness either, really. I mean, of course you are moving your body and that's great, but it was more about the intention behind it, and how dance is a prayer with your body, and you can, focus on something that you desire or that you want to release or celebrate, and then dance like as if, that's like existing within you. So so yeah, I just like sharing that. And so Rhythm Rootz is a space where I get to share that, and we set intention as a group. And the music is very worldly, involving communities from all over the world of indigenous backgrounds. I love to use like Afro-Caribbean music from Latin America, South America, Central America. I've even started to discover some music from Australia, like in the Aboriginal communities. And so I like to highlight those communities too. So it all kind of, the energy all ties together. And we focus on really opening up everyone to the knowing that the indigenous is in all of us, because as people living in a society that we're currently living in is brand new. If you think about how long we've been on this planet, and and living in this industrial society is very small compared to how long we lived in harmony with nature. And so getting people back to remembering that, because it's buried inside of all of us. And so that I use music and movement and ceremonial dance to help everybody rediscover that, in the hopes that they'll start taking better care of the earth and themselves as well. So
Well,
so
beautiful.
yeah.
So it kind of stemmed from finding out about your own background, and
Yes.
then it involved to include others. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
because
beautiful. Yeah.
being adopted is a very like concrete example of, I feel like, what everybody can relate to, in a sense that erasing all of the things that were put onto you, and going back to who you really are at your core. And I am gifted in that, gifted, I guess, in that way, where I can have a really concrete way of thinking about it, because it's very clear. But it's also something that I think is a great message, or a great way to inspire others to kind of reconnect to their roots as well. Because the body like stores all of that memory. And like, if you think about things that you're drawn to, or once you start to learn about your indigenous history or the ways of your ancestors, and you start to feel like a deeper connection to some of the things that you might do. But yeah, it's like, what did I hear the other day? Someone said, or I read, or I heard, remembering things you didn't know you forgot, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Things that were occulted and forgotten. Yeah.
Mhm.
In
And I use the
many
example,
ways.
yeah,
You're
I
very,
use the example.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just talking.
No, no, go. You're here. You talk about
Okay.
whatever you want to talk about. I love it.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I use the example. I recently rearranged the way my bed is facing, and I didn't do it like, I mean, I did it consciously, but I didn't think about um, how it's exactly the same way as my childhood bedroom was set up, like in the center of the largest wall, facing the entryway to the bedroom is on the right, and it's the same, it's set up the same. And so I didn't think about that at all, but when I woke up after sleeping that way for the first night, I thought I was home, like I'm in my parents' home, because my body
Uh,
or what oriented it, it just like went back into that space. And that just like blew my mind, because I'm like, if your body can remember how you slept for like 15 years, like imagine what it's storing, within your DNA from all your ancestors. Like, yeah, that just blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. Wow, the mind is amazing.
Well,
Mhm.
The body,
I'm
yeah.
I'm guessing that, yeah, that maybe that happens to many of us, at different times, but we just aren't tuned in to realize what's
Mhm,
going on.
mhm.
That's interesting. Yeah. Huh. So did when you were talking about positioning your bed, it reminded me of feng shui, right?
Mhm.
And so are do you apply feng shui? I don't pronounce it right, probably. I probably have the Midwestern pronunciation. And or have you found indigenous um, um, ways of living with the energy within the home that are similar but not quite the same as what we might learn from feng shui?
No, I do not know. I have not considered that, but I would love to know more about it. But yeah, I am, I try to be just minimal. I like space. So that's all
Hmm.
I got
Sure.
on arrangement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love
Well,
the
I know in feng
principles
shui
behind
they
feng shui.
said,
Go ahead. Yeah, no.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know that when you put your bed, you're not supposed to face it directly at a door because it says I don't remember it, but it has to do with the flow of energy or
Mhm.
maybe protecting yourself from negative energy that might,
Mm,
and you're not supposed to have a mirror so that when you get in bed or when you get up to walk to the door, whatever, that you're not showing in the mirror because your subconscious will pick it up and there'll be maybe fear in the background, subconsciously or
mhm.
something.
Mhm.
Have,
Mhm.
I don't know. Just
I
thoughts.
find Yeah, no, I
I
find that
kinda do
very
my healing with
interesting.
that.
Mhm. I find that
So
very interesting. Yeah. I would love to learn more about that too.
so how many years have you been doing, your work then, your dance? I does it start part-time, or do you do work with full-time now, or is it still part-time?
Um, so it was once a week at a place where I met Jessica, the Kansas City Wellness Club, which is not no longer there. But a couple of years ago, yeah, I started facilitating booty yoga classes there, and then that evolved into Rhythm and Roots. It was weekly, and it really just helped me kind of work through exactly what I was trying to put out there. And then when they closed, I just do pop up events, but it's really given me the opportunity to
Mhm.
curate each one specifically for whatever's kind of what energies are out there, what the moon's doing, what society's doing. I've been invited to be like an opening ceremony for a few events. A friend of mine wrote a book and she asked me to do like an opening ceremony thing too for her book launch. So it's just kind of been able to be more of like a ceremonial practice, really. Um, I am facilitating Rhythm and Roots at Dance Tribe KC month on the starting in November the 3rd or the 2nd Sunday each month. And at Dance Tribe, they started with ecstatic dance. That's kind of where they began. But as time passed, it started to they need you can't do the same thing for too long because people get bored and attendance starts to kind of wane.
Mhm.
And so they asked several other people in the community if they would be willing to rotate through and host their different types of movement experiences. And so, in working with that, knowing that those people typically have been coming to ecstatic dance, which is like individual, you just make a playlist and you can set intentions and stuff like that, but everyone does their own thing. You can move all over the room. You can, take up a lot of space. You can sit still, you roll around on the ground. Like it's open to whatever you want to do. Um, and so I was like, well, when I facilitate dance, we like to move in unison. We like to I like to synchronize. It's a different energy when everybody's moving together. So I've kind of been more
Mhm.
playing with how to blend those two things. And I facilitated twice now, where we spend the first time I facilitated, we did the first half was together in circle, synchronized movements, and then everybody got to do their own thing. And then another time I facilitated, it was the beginning and the end were synchronized, and in the middle, everybody got to do their own thing. So it's been very interesting how it's just kind of evolves and goes with whatever community or whatever event is happening. So yeah.
So have you worked with Kelly Daniels at the Blue River Forest? Kelly's
No,
been a guest here on the podcast too.
I have not. I have not. I do know Sam, and
Mhm.
back at the Kansas City Wellness Club, he was like, "You should come out, come out and do something." And then
Yeah.
that was it. But no, I do not know her.
Hey, we should plan something together, you and I there, because I've started helping a little there with, because I do ancestral clearing, and
Mhm.
a lot of I've been told a lot of my past lives were Native American. And
Mhm.
when I first went to the forest there, it was like, oh wow, the ancestors, it's so strong. It
Mm.
was like there was a crowd of them around there. I mean,
Oh
the
wow.
emotion and everything was so strong. But she does sound, what do you call it, celebrations, like on
Mhm.
the equinoxes and solstices,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
other times. But that would be fun to plan something, so you did an opening dance and then I did a session, or vice versa, or
Yeah, that
that
would
would be
be
kind of
great.
fun. That would really
That
be an
would
indigenous thing. Yeah.
that would be really good. That would be really cool. I was just in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon and Washington for the last 2 weeks, and I've never been there before, but I felt very grounded there, very like inspired, and I don't know, I almost feel different. I almost feel different. I don't know,
Mhm.
just my energy has been just I don't know, people have been feeling me like from a distance and reaching out, and I'm just like, what has happened? So I don't know, something's very special about that place too.
Yeah, interesting. So you talked about how um uh in your dances you take into account, or in choreographing them or planning for them, you take into consideration the moon. Do you also do other star patterns or sun signs, other astrology type things, or is it mainly focused on the moon?
So far just the moon. Um I did like I think it was a summer solstice one, but yeah, mostly just the moon. New moon and full moon so far. Those are the ones that draw the most attention. So I would love to get into other things too. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Hmm.
Nice. Yeah. Very good.
I have to brag on
Um,
Jenna for a minute. She, just going to her classes, she has such great energy. It really attracts you. It pulls you in, and then she makes it fun. And so I think that was part of the reason I kept going back there at KC Club. And then just the music, the fun, and then her energy, and making everything a ceremony. Because I think I personally have believed for a long time that everything in our life that we do is spiritual. So, and I like that with Jenna, that we both kind of agree on that. It was a beautiful thing. So I love you, Jenna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hope to see you again.
Yes. Same.
yeah.
Same. Same. Yeah. No, I really do want to bring
Well, I
ceremony
was,
back to every community. Because yeah, everything is so fast. You have a baby or you get married and it's one day, and in other cultures and other ways, and in the past, it was multiple days, or you fasted or you did all this preparation leading up to it that was very ceremonious, and I just wish that we could, I feel like with more intention behind that, those sacred moments, it just makes it that much more potent, powerful, and lasting. So um, yeah, it's really important to me too.
that's awesome. I just wanted to explain to listeners that the connection problems or noises we're having this morning it's like something tends to be lagging in my connection. I don't know what it is. I have high-speed buried cable and my line is wired in the house, but there's not good connection there for somehow. And where Jenna is at, there's construction noises in her surrounding area, and Jessica's at a coffee shop and outdoors, as you can see, and so there's some traffic noise in the background, and Ramey's the only one so far that has a nice, quiet, secure connection there. But thank you everyone for putting up with the disconnection to enjoy some good information and good energy in feeling all this. And talk about energy, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's like, do you, beside you have the recorded music, right? I'm taking it that you listen to as you go. Do you incorporate live sound to at times, or singing vocal things, or a Indigenous band playing in the background, or drumming, or do you do those things too, or what do you think?
Yes. So yeah, like I said, it's evolving, and it's every single time I do it, it's different. And every single time I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. And then it just gets, then the next one I say the same thing. But I have been playing around with different instruments. I've been collecting instruments off Facebook Marketplace for like years now. And so I've got quite the selection. I do like to use my buffalo drum. I use like the conch shell to like open and close the ceremony. I did an event out at the Casey Farm School off Gibbs Road where we didn't move at all. Everyone just laid down because it was like 100 degrees that day. And I just played the playlist and just played instruments along with it, and helped kind of, I guess it was a guided meditation, trying to connect to the earth and the land and just be inspired. And so, yeah, it's really open to like any and all things, but the instruments, of course, I've had somebody ask me, hey, can I bring my drum to the next class? And I was like, oh yeah, please bring your drum. Like I have this vision too of just like a real, like something you would kind of picture in your mind, what it would be like to have a musical ceremonial dance, around a fire, back in the days of our ancestors. And that community's still, I'm sure, somewhere, not here, not that I know of here in Kansas City, but I'm sure they still do that. But yes, I just want to bring all of that back. Yeah, instruments. And on October 27th at the farm school, I'm doing a fundraiser for Kinship Cafe, and they and I have invited a drummer who we have worked together in the past and had an amazing, he's so talented, and he brings multiple hand drums. One time he even brought a whole drum set. But for something like Rhythm Rootz, probably he'll do the like hand drums. He has bongo, congos, and different types of things. But he's amazing, and he just picks up on the playlist and jams out. And so that's going to be a really special event too, that I haven't done in maybe over a year. We used to do them kind of periodically, and then it kind of fell off. But we're bringing that back. So yeah, live drums, Rhythm and Roots. Yeah, that just adds to it. Like it just gets people just, yeah, it really elevates the energy a lot when you add that. So
would do you have any like guidance or positive thoughts or ideas, for other people who are adopted and finding their way forward from the roots,
yeah,
like you
yeah.
did?
Yeah, I would just say people have actually reached out to me on social media, when they find out my story, they're like, oh, I'm adopted too, and I would just, it's always, find out as much. I feel like finding out more, and the more you can, the better, where you come from, and trying to visit. I mean, I would advise visiting the place, and just seeing how that feels to be in on your, your home country or your homeland or whatever. But yeah, it's really special. So I would encourage you to reach out to. I don't know if it's so much the people, you know, kind of depending on your situation, but definitely the land that you were adopted from, I feel like is really important to connect with. Learning about doing like an ancestry, if you were open to doing that and learning about the DNA that, you know, you have, is very interesting too, and helps you kind of connect. I know when I did my DNA and found out that I was well, I already knew I was Indigenous. It was just like the percentage and stuff, but finding out the region, you know, and then like knowing that, you know, what the people there are like, and the music and the way they dance. So there's like this dance in Colombia. It's called champeta, and it's like it was originated from. It was like it's a dance of resistance. And when I learned about it, was like, you know, you're not going to silence us. We're going to be loud and proud and things like that. Like in the poor areas of that country. And when I saw the dance, I looked it up and I saw how it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, I moved just like that. Like I've been moving that way for a long time with the different footwork. And so it's just kind of like opens your eyes to all the things. And what else did I discover? Like I'm a freshwater person. Like I love the ocean, but I love freshwater. Like if it was like a stream, a nice stream over, I think I would choose a stream or a lake over the ocean. And knowing that where I come from is very the lakes and streams are there. In Colombia, there's like waterfalls around like every corner. It's amazing. Kind of reminded me of Oregon too. So I think that's why I felt so great there too. Like just green, lush mountains with waterfalls and fresh water everywhere. But yeah, just look into it. Find out things that, you know, it helps you kind of, what do you call it? Like, it's like a synchronicity. You just start opening one door and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I do that. I love this. I like that. This makes sense. I know like I've been part of the spiritual communities for like, probably like since 2014, 2015. And I always felt like a little bit disconnected. Like I loved all of the things I was hearing and all the things I was learning. But one thing was I wasn't learning or hearing anything from anybody who looked like me. And then also it was, I'm distracted by something. I don't know what's going on.
That's a lot of noise in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
The contractor must have dropped something.
Oh yeah. No, it's not here. It's not here.
Oh.
I don't know. But anyways, where was I?
You felt different.
Oh yeah, it felt different. It just felt like great information, but it never like landed like in my soul. And then when I started connecting with my heritage and my ancestry and learning about the indigenous community that I come from, everything started landing. And I was like, okay, like I felt grounded. And now I know, like, okay, before I would, be like, my friends would talk astrology and, they were doing all of the card pulling and all the things. And I was just like, this is all great, but like, it didn't feel like home for me. And now I feel like things do. And I had to find my own way. But I think just connecting. And then when I started to really dive into indigenous culture, and it's pretty much kind of, I think it's somewhat universal that indigenous people like really connect with the land and really view themselves as part of the land, like part of nature, not separate from, like an extension. And so when I started learning about that, like whole, I've never been like a I don't know what you call it. Like, I mean, I always have been very respectful of the earth, but like when I started to really understand how they view themselves and the trees are like your sisters, and the plants and animals and all of that, are all part of you. You just move different, and your habits become different. And everything becomes a ceremony almost. And so when I discovered, I just advise connecting back to your heritage because it's so rich for all of us. And if we can see ourselves as an extension of nature, then we treat ourselves better. We treat the earth better. And, with what's happening, with the earth, and there's like so many crises, and I can feel the earth sadness. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to help people connect. And I used to be very judgmental about it, like I would say a few years ago, but the approach that I have is now to just facilitate ways for people to connect and feel it instead of telling them you should really, you really shouldn't use that. You really shouldn't do that. I just help them realize they are the earth and the earth is in them. And then hopefully that inspires them to make some concrete changes in the way that they live. So yeah, I feel like it's a responsibility.
So your adopted parents must have been, I'm taking it, very supportive of you in finding your background, your roots, and being the I talked about this a little bit before with the almost I'm assuming dramatic heritage of your last name, the Bodensteiner. That how's their reaction to what you do now?
I really don't know. Like they've been very supportive of everything I do my whole life. But I don't really know if they understand fully, or if they think it's kind of like something I'm going through or working through. I'm like, no, I'm like full on evolving into somebody else. Like, of course I'm taking pieces, but like, I feel like you guys have caught me in almost at this crossroads between my lived life and the life that is buried inside of me. And so, we're kind of going through it, I guess you could say right now. Like, I'm sure my mom might listen to this and be like, okay, all right. But, I don't know if they understand. I think like my dad still's like, are you still doing it? He still thinks I teach booty yoga. And I'm like, I haven't taught that class for a long time and I don't do that anymore. But like, they're very supportive. My mom has always encouraged me to find my biological family. And I've had access to my biological mom's full name my entire life. It's been written on my birth certificate, and my mom has had that in our home the whole time I was growing up. But I never really wanted to find out. I never felt like I needed to. For some reason, I kind of growing up, I always just felt like, I'm adopted. This is my life, and that's that. And I never felt either any type of emptiness or like sense of I don't feel like I belong. My family is very loving and caring, and I've never felt that way. I know some people who are adopted feel an emptiness that they can't describe. I have never felt that. And some people are like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure. Like I know how I feel." But and recently, actually, this past winter, I did get the name from my mom from the birth certificate, and I did find my biological mom, and I did meet her, and I stayed actually the night with her in Colombia when we visited over the winter. And I have 3 sisters. I'm the oldest, and I went to her land, and she like has this beautiful, like she lives very remote, but where she lives is so beautiful and so abundant with coffee, all the fruits and vegetables that grow in Colombia grow in abundance on her property. She takes all of her produce and things to the market on Saturday and Sunday, and that's how she makes her living. And so I asked her if there was mosquitoes, and I asked her for bug spray, and she brought out this jar that was stuffed with like all kinds of herbs and things. And so, like she's been, and she wouldn't say she's, that's just how it is. She wouldn't say she identifies as Indigenous. Because I asked her, and so that's just kind of the way of the community there. But I do have a uncle, my biological mom's brother, who actually stayed in the Indigenous community, and I've been communicating a lot with him on social media, and he's kind of told me a lot of different things about, like when I do limpias, which is like an energy cleanse, I want to incorporate, the rituals of the people that I'm from. So I asked him, what do you all do? I know how in Mexican culture they do many different ways, but one of them is like they take an egg and rub it all in your body, and then crack the egg and look inside and see how the yolk is, and it kind of tells you a little bit about your energy and other things. In Colombia, they use tobacco, so you would like roll your own tobacco cigarette and blow smoke around somebody. And so he's helped me kind of learn some of those different rituals and things. He's made me like a feather headdress that when I go down there, I'm going to be able to wear. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey, but yeah, I did just recently reconnect with my biological family, which has been very, very, I guess just like a very pivotal moment in my life, I guess you could say.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. And to have at least one member, your uncle, that is still connected with some of those root or the old ancestral things. That's very cool. Awesome.
Yeah. When I visit, he was saying that there's no road. So you have to fly in on a plane, and then I guess then there's roads, but like there's no road to where they are because there's no way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then where my biological mom lives, which is just outside of the capital city, Bogota, she lives in a town called Las Mesitas, and she's a little bit outside of the town. Then you park your car, and then you walk for like 15 minutes into the forest, and then that's where her house is. And so and she's getting older too, and so now there's like, well, I don't know if she, so now there's my sisters, they're kind of trying to figure out what to do about all those things. But to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy to think that if I wasn't adopted, like this would have been my life also. And yeah, and so I don't know how I feel about that either. I'm just like, I'm really grateful for the way things have turned out, but I do kind of feel like there's some of those things like I wish I would have grown up like knowing how to harvest and like nurture the land and all of those things, but it can still happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so your uncle still lives in the original village or close to it, and then your mom at some point moved to town or close to Bogota.
Yep.
So when you were born, do you know, was she still in the village or was she close to town then when you were born?
I was born in the city, Bogota. And she told me the whole story too behind all that. And there was a reason why I've never felt that emptiness that some people who are adopted might feel or removed from their homes might feel, but because she she did it out of love, and she wasn't never coaxed into it or pressured. She really thought it felt in her heart that it was the best thing. And I told her, I've known that my whole life. I knew that there was nothing but love surrounding that decision. And yeah, she was crying when she was telling me all these things. It's just a wild ride, man. But yeah, so I almost feel like, it's my responsibility, like I said earlier, to lift up those communities. And, I feel like I can't just walk this life without recognizing where I've come from and the values of the people
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to add a suggestion, and maybe you do this already or know it, but um, when you travel to the different areas where you visit or where you do your ceremonies at and things, especially when they're the indigenous countries, um, have you tried um, like holding a tree when you're on the property? Because the trees will tell you the emotion that the land is feeling, right? And so if you hold it and tap in, just clear your mind and tap into the tree energy, and it will tell you if there's great sadness or if there's
Mhm.
happiness there and things. And as just another way of helping tap into the energies at those places. Have you tried
No,
that?
I did not hold a tree, but I will. As soon as I go back, I'm gonna hold a tree because I did that in Oregon and I felt some type of way. Like I got
Hmm.
messages, I felt,
Yeah.
and this was a happy tree. But yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
trees
yeah.
are powerful. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah. And those huge trees, my gosh, that are out there. Um, I mean, the amount of time that they have been
Mhm.
here, like just being in the presence of one, I'm like, oh my gosh. But yes, no, I did not hold a tree when I was in Colombia, and I wish I would have. Um, it didn't even cross my mind, and that's weird. But yeah, I was just like, yeah.
You were busy, you had you were excited about so many things, right? It's even like here at my house, I get involved with all the projects I'm doing or taking care of the puppies or, whatever. And it's like I forget to hold the tree.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's what you're focused on at the time. And it's all good, right? So very cool. Jessica, do you have another question? You've known Jenna a lot longer. Um,
Yeah, I've got the
Whoop,
coffee shop vibes
lag in
on
kind
here,
of.
so I've been kind of quiet.
Well, I guess I could just
Right. Yeah.
sit.
Tired. Yeah. I think it cut out. Yeah. Go
Um,
ahead, Jenna.
okay. So I I've been in my bio. I mentioned that I'm like to restore the balance, and I guess I could kind of just explain a little bit about what I mean by that. I feel like in today's, in today's society, we are doing all the things, like cold plunges and ecstatic dance and all those things, which are great and lovely. But I feel like it's also my responsibility to connect those um, modalities or whatever healing modalities to the past, because it's nothing new. This is all ancient stuff, and it's just kind of been rebranded, I guess you could say. And you know and
Mhm.
and so I just, jumping in, I went into the ocean too when I was in the Pacific Northwest, did a cold plunge, and indigenous people have been doing these things for forever. And so I just like to highlight that these aren't new things, and it's all great to connect back to earth in these ways, but just don't forget the communities that were are still like living in, um, they were persecuted for their beliefs and the ways of life, and then made to feel like they were demonized, their
Yeah.
culture, and a lot of terrible things happened to indigenous people for the way that they chose to live and their beliefs. And now that all of those things we're realizing collectively that those are the ways of, that's just those are, there's a reason why they're good for you, and so to just kind of recognize that that's the past, and um, you know paying homage and honoring the roots of those practices, um, because indigenous people are still living in conditions because of all of the terrible things that happened to them too here. So um, that's just part of one of the things that I like to highlight as well, is just the way forward, we're moving forward, but nothing that we're doing is like futuristic or new. It's all just old things that our bodies thrive with, because they were like, oh yeah, cold plunge, like, yes, this is the way, gathering in community, yes, this is the way, earthing or taking off your shoes and being barefoot in the dirt, like, this is the way, and your body's saying yes because it's craving that, right? But we forget to acknowledge where those things come from, and they're packaged and sold to us, but we can't forget where it comes from. So but yeah.
Very well
That's
stated,
beautiful.
Jenna. Yeah, very well stated. Right on.
So what would be your suggestion, an easy thing that people could do to start with to experience that, to whether it be the dance itself, or making up their own, or just connecting to the earth? What do you think? What would you advise?
I for me, I started doing that really just started in, like, it started to work. So the crazy thing is when you start to align yourself with the earth and like have like a reciprocal relationship, instead of just taking and taking and taking, and you got to give back. I would start with that, like, something as simple as your daily routine. Um, like, if you eat a banana every morning, instead of throwing that banana in a plastic trash bag, put it in your compost, or even just throw it outside. At least it has, just like the simplest things. And then and then you just start to build that relationship. And the earth also recognizes that your intention, and then things start to flow for you. Like, for me, that's what happened. I started my daily routine, my morning routine, my shower routine. I started like making my own infused like skin oil. And so just intentionally saying thank you and rubbing it on my body, and then just, I don't know, I just felt like it changed how I step into the world. So I would just say, just change something about your routine, because something that you do every day, if it just involve the earth a little bit more in your daily routine, be more considerate with the products that you use, I guess. For me, it's like, okay, I'm a lotion girl. So I was like, okay, this plastic bottle and all these toxic chemicals, like, I've got to get rid of that. So I started making my own, extra virgin olive oil, infused it with, rosemary or whatever I've got. And then just using that instead, and with some water, and I think just start there. Just start with something that you do every day, and when you do it with intention, and then it'll grow from there. You'll be like, wow, it feels different. It starts to feel different. You start to feel like you're not just, you're considering the planet that we live on, and then it just starts to flow, I feel like. But as far as like music and movement, I would just say start dancing. I've made little short playlists too, where I've posted them on social media, where it's a slow song, a fast song, and then a slow song. And I'll suggest to people, just close your eyes, and then just like start to move. And as the beats intensify, just go with the flow. It's like 10 minutes. Just try it, just try. And closing your eyes is helpful, because people feel uncomfortable a lot. But if you close your eyes and just do whatever it is that your body is telling you to do, and you close your eyes, it helps take that fear or a discomfort away, and then it just gets more comfortable after that. So I would just say, move your body, change one of your routines, and for everything that you take, try to give something as well.
That's beautiful.
It's so funny you talked about the fruit, Jenna, and the banana peel for years. And it's probably because I grew up like farm, and we gave everything to the chickens and the goats, right? I cannot put like my lemon peels or my banana peels or avocados in the trash. And I have recycled. I have like biodegradable trash cans, but I'm still like, they have to be free. So I throw them out.
Just throw them out. I do too. I do too. Like I have a special spot right by my house. As soon as I go out of my alleyway and take a right, there's like this grassy patch that's like, there's some wildflowers and things. And I'm like, if, you know, I'll even like eat a banana. It's done, but I'm like, I'm taking this in the car so I can throw it out the window in a special spot.
That's what I do.
You know,
I'm like,
yeah,
or a raccoon or something's going to eat this, a bird's going to
something. Yeah. Yeah. And when I throw it out, I'm like, thank you, Earth. Thank you. And then things start to happen. I mean, things started to happen for me when I started living more in alignment with the earth. You know, opportunities just started to pop up. People started to ask me to do things, and you know, skeptics might be like, well, that could just be timing. You know, I'm like, ah, well, or not, or I'm being or I'm living in an alignment and I've just like discovered my purpose and the earth is saying, yes, you're on the right track. Keep going.
Well, I love that. I mean, it shows so much in your passion for your life and what you're doing. I just love it. It's a true sign of that you're living from what your spirit is wanting to do and where it's leading you. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So I was curious too then, as far as where it's guiding, if there was do you have plans, like is there a goal in your mind of another Indigenous place or a place in the world that you really feel led to connect with and want to travel there?
Yes, I want to go to Africa, and I think that Ghana is going to be someplace that I'm going to thrive in. Actually, when I was a child, like I was drawn to reggae music and African music. There's this band called Mafiki Zolo. They're from South Africa, and like I remember listening to them when I was a teenager. One of my friends showed me. She had a roommate who was from South Africa who showed her, and then she showed me, and then I was like, oh my gosh. And I mean, a lot of my music that I use in Rhythm Rootz is from Africa, the continent of Africa, all different parts. I also took West African dance from a very well-known dance instructor here in Kansas City, and where like I was like one of the only people in that class who were not West African. So like I've put myself in those positions as well, just like to learn, you know, but yeah, what Africa, and I think Ghana is going to be a place that's going to speak to me.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So we're getting close to the hour time. Jenna, would you like to tell again how people can reach you or some of the things you're doing that they could participate in if they wanted to?
Yes. So every Wednesday, I teach a spiritual fitness class called Elevate at Wild Roots in Shawnee. And all of the classes at Wild Roots are intuitively led with music that's intentionally curated to open your heart, to get you out of your head and into your body. So I'm there every Wednesday, and this is less focused on. I mean, it's a spiritual fitness class, but it's more fitness-y than, let's say, Rhythm Rootz. So if you want a good workout, but you also want to feel like, you know, love and joy in an intentional way, that's a really good opportunity. I'm on social media, Instagram, and at KC Jenna B is my Instagram. I usually keep up with that regularly with pop-up events and things that I'm doing. What else? Yeah. So I do need to like get a Rhythm Rootz like website or something going on, but that's in the future.
Is there places that or say like on the things you do, are some of those recorded live so people that don't live around the Kansas City area could join you live?
Not yet, but that's something that would be great to have a need for that, that would be great. Yeah. I would love people in
Yeah.
Colombia to be able to connect too. Like if my sisters could attend some of the classes or events, that would be really cool.
Oh, it
But
would.
yeah. But no, so far, no.
Okay. Well, lots of things coming in the future then, maybe as your spirit guides you.
Yes.
Awesome. So I think we'll end there for today.
Okay.
Thank you, Jenna, so much. It's been a happy, stimulating discussion this morning, and I
Yeah.
appreciate
Well,
that a lot.
thank you for having me. Yeah, it feels good to just talk about these things because it's not often that I just get a full hour to explain all the things. You know, when I introduce at events, when I introduce the practice, it's very short. You know, but I could go on and on and on, and I try not to. So this was a good opportunity for me to put it out there.
All right.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad we could help with that. So thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll send you with the vibes to find your own roots of connecting with the earth too. And we'll catch you next week then.
Bye. Thank you.